How you doing, everybody? It's your boy Wardy, and as you can see, we're back at it talking about the Amazons, and we're also back at it breaking down the latest moves in Mets land. Because over the past couple hours, David Stearns has picked up a guy he knows very well during his time as President Baseball Operations with Milwaukee back in the 2021 season. Had a one-year stint there, that being former Gold Glove, 11-year MLB veteran outfielder, a World Series champion with JD Martinez. Let's enter, yes, Jackie Bradley Jr. is back in the game, baby. Back at least at the minor league level, could be more. In today's video, we're going to break down everything that you guys and gals need to know about this veteran outfield pickup. And yes, Jackie Bradley Jr., what can he bring to the table, if anything, for the Mets here? Does this raise questions for the Mets and their outfield depth as Starling Marte is still trying to work his way back from injury? That and more is what we're going to deep dive in today's video, so make sure you smash that like and subscribe on as you first chime in. Let me know your initial reactions to the news that JBJ is finally a New York Metropolitan. Feels like 4 years too late, but hey, it's always better late than never. Hopefully in the case here of JBJ and his impact here, if anything, with the Metsies. But before we get into everything, including his dominance with the Long Island Ducks this year, which is what has warranted said signing, let's get into the Subway Series matchup between the Mets and the Yankees tonight at the time of recording this. We got a preview post-game coverage for you guys as always, but let's talk about the betting situation with our great friends at BetUS. Of course, guys, if you haven't already, check out BetUS by clicking the link down below in the description. That way you too get 125% bonus on not your first, not your second, but your first 3 deposits. And for all your sports betting needs with BetUS, thank you all so much for getting involved with our amazing sponsor today. If you haven't, let's take a look at the Mets-Yankees matchup. As I just mentioned to each and every one of you, the Mets are the money line underdog tonight at plus 135. Yes, I expect the bats to be a little bit sleepy against Luis Gil, not just because of Gil, but also because the Mets didn't even get into town until past 5 a.m. with an unfortunate delay on their travel from Miami back to New York. So they are going to be pretty sluggish, I'd imagine, at least to kickstart the game. I could be completely wrong, but the Yankees lineup isn't doing themselves any favors either with a guy like JD Davis, funny enough, batting cleanup. And if that comes to bite me in the butt, then okay, knock on wood, it is what it is. I'll deal with it then. Mets, however, as the money line underdog or spread, I think you'd be foolish not to get involved there. I'm not one to bias bet often. However, a matchup like this, yes, I absolutely want to get involved. Mets spread is what I'm going to be hammering here, which means they need to either win or make sure that they don't lose by more than 1.5 runs. And this is going to be $20. That wins you just under 14. So you're looking at, a little under double should this hit entirely where the Mets win or lose by no more than 1.5 runs. For my Mets fans out there that want to tail, bet responsibly, but make sure you do it with our great friends at BetUS. Thank you all so much. And now let's hop back into breaking down this JBJ signing, because like you, when I saw the news, I was, kind of wiping my eyes for a second. This is 2024, right? Jackie Bradley Jr., why did the Mets sign this guy? He's washed up. It makes absolutely zero sense. Well, it does make a sliver of sense, and let's get into why exactly that is. And it starts with Jackie Bradley Jr. has been long connected to the Mets, going back to Steve Cohen's first offseason when we saw guys like Zach Scott during his time with Boston, especially having those ties with a guy like JBJ as the acting GM, and did attempt to try to land him. However, he did not go to the Mets at that time, the 2020-2021 offseason or so. Fast forward a couple years later, JBJ has not been in the bigs for at least a year, but we have seen him at the independent level there in New York playing for the Long Island Ducks, like what we have seen with guys like Daniel Murphy from a year and a half ago. Remember Murph? He was on the channel as we broke down Old Timers Day as he was in appearance. Great interview, had a great discussion. Then we saw Murph just not long after, a couple months later, start to ramp up with the Long Island Ducks. Then he signs a minor league deal in AAA there with the LA Angels as a high contact hitter, but can't hit for power. So he's like, all right, I'm done. But he showed he still has it. Now we see Jackie Bradley Jr., very much known as a contact hitter, not a power hitter, but he's been slugging like never before here with the Long Island Ducks. In 40 games with them in independent ball this season, he has a 400 average, a 1200 OPS, 12 home runs, 35 RBIs, and was just named Player of the Week on the offensive end there in the independent league for the Long Island Ducks. So pretty cool stuff. And JBJ, as we know, as a career hitter, is not going to give you anything overly sexy. He's a 225 hitter with a 303 on base percentage, a 381 slug for 82 WRC plus, roughly 20% worse than the average batter in baseball. But why did the Mets sign Jackie Bradley Jr.? It's a couple things. One, the Long Island Ducks connection, which goes in hand with guys like Michael Tonkin. Remember him? New York Met turned New York Yankee now, which he's been having more success. Tonkin to ramp up his MLB career again over the past year or so was with the Long Island Ducks, and then worked from there, got to the Braves, and then the rest is history, as he's been having a better time in the Bronx than he did in Flushing, Queens on the Mets earlier this season. That's just a couple examples for you, but the Mets have been able to keep a closer eye on some of these guys performing independent ball because they're right there, Long Island. So you cannot go wrong whatsoever, and JBJ adds some much-needed veteran outfield depth at minimum at the AAA level, but with question marks arising with guys like DJ Stewart not doing anything besides keeping the bat on his shoulders and doing his walks in his best Daniel Vogelbach impression, now you enter a JBJ who has the ability to, at minimum, be just a defensive option, a better outfield option over even a guy like Ben Gamel, because that is what Jackie Bradley Jr. falls in currently. He is a Ben Gamel type player. The last time he was in the bigs was 2023 with the Royals, in which he was batting 133 with a 188 on base percentage and a 210 slug. The power, the on base ability simply hasn't been there for JBJ. He tuned some things in his game playing an independent ball, but those numbers are unbelievably inflated. They cannot compare whatsoever to even at the AA, AAA level. They just simply aren't the same ball game whatsoever. However, what this is again, added veteran outfield depth, a name that can still get it done, at least on the defensive end. And this is a David Stearns that has been very point of emphasis with improving this Mets defense, as the Mets still throughout offensively, infield and outfield wise, have still not been to the caliber defensively that David Stearns would like to see them be. JBJ, who David Stearns knows well during his time as a Brewer in 2021, saw that experience, knows his ability to command all aspects of the outfield without a problem. And this is a guy that, again, at absolute best for the Mets, I think we're going to see this season be given an opportunity over a Ben Gamel, if you will, should he provide some solid upside that we see in a stint of games at the AAA level with Syracuse, provide you outfield depth later in the ball game if need be, and see a pinch hit with the bat if you want to go down that route. Again, JBJ is not a guy that I look for with the offense at all, so if he somehow found something with the Long Island Ducks and what we see these numbers transition to at the MLB level is actually notable, then okay, sign me up. Again, I think you'd have to be a foolish, I think it's a foolish notion to think that. However, I'm happy to see the Mets add more veteran outfield depth. You can certainly never have enough, and with uncertainty as to when Starling Marte is going to return to this Mets team, all the more reason as to why I see it making sense. Ben Gamel, I think, is obviously the guy you choose between himself and Jackie Bradley Jr. However, Jackie is the better defender. Jackie's a guy that even at the major league level, I think has potential to still be a solid, at least average defender, if not above average defender. A guy in the fold for the Mets to continue to ponder and consider for their outfield configuration before they ultimately make the bigger decisions leading up to the MLB trade deadline, which is quite literally a week away. So between the connections, not only with David Stearns, JD Martinez, great clubhouse guy too. Again, if he gets to the point of being at the major league level, Jose Iglesias has connections during his stint with the Boston Red Sox in the past as well. So there's some connections going on there, just to name a few. But I'm very curious to see how JBJ first performs in Syracuse, which is where he's going to be starting. I don't know if I made that noted already. This is a minor league contract, so JBJ is a guy that will, again, at minimum, be providing some upside for you at the AAA level. If he doesn't do well, you just cut him. That's that. If he does thrive well, then he is an option for you to consider off the bench and as another fourth outfielder fit. That might be an upgrade over your current options should DJ Stewart, say, absolutely falter. Say Tyrone Taylor forgets how to hit a fastball, which I think is a hard thing to do, but we'll find out. Regardless, that is the latest on the Mets news front as they picked up JBJ. Let me know your thoughts about him in the comments down below, and stay tuned for our pregame coverage, Subway Series pregame coverage, Mets Yankees postgame coverage as well. I might be joined by my good friend and Bridging the Gap co-host Patrick Hennessy, who's a diehard Yankees fan. So the Mets win, rest assured it's going to be a lot of piling on him. And if the Mets lose, it's going to be a lot of having to deal with him talking a lot of smack, and then the reality that it doesn't matter. The Mets are hopefully going to win the next game. So hope to see you guys in our postgame coverage later tonight. Until then, have a great rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. JBJ is a Met. Let's see what's next for the team in Queens. Peace out, folks.